Welcome to the coaches meeting. That's the coach. I'm
What's
Grant
going on,
Cohn.
guys?
He's a coach. I'm quality control. I'm working my way up. He's at the top of the ladder. Good to see you guys. We're talking best and
I
worst
am
qualities
a
of
former coach.
former coach. Yeah, I
Yeah.
feel that. Well, I've just been over here cranking out pull-ups all morning just in case any player wants to come see me in training camp. So I'm letting everyone
Keep
know I got
it
6.
moving.
Let's
My
go. I
man
got
be-
6 more
Hey,
weeks.
hey,
I'm
hold
not.
on, hold on. Allow me. Let me go in. My man Grant was doing them pull-ups the other day with the Tiffany blue Crocs.
You know I gotta keep it pretty when I'm up in there. You know, you never know
I
who's
seen
looking
that
at
shit
you.
at the stoplight. I almost lost it. I was like, that's my man. That's my man. I loved it.
Thank you. I appreciate it. All right, so we're talking quarterbacks today. A lot of 49er fans hate it, so we're gonna save it.
Right.
What the coach and I do a lot of time is talk about offbeat topics or players that other Niner fans don't know. So I got a name today. I think Niner fans don't know nothing about this guy. And I think he actually could be a really key player this year. He's under the radar, but he could end up starting and contributing in a major way. This dude was the 4th pick in the draft 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Cleveland Farrell, defensive end. The Niners signed him. Everyone kind of scoffed, like, okay, that guy was a bust. And everyone's saying, like, Drake Jackson's going to be the guy who emerges. And it may be Drake. Although Chris Kasarik said, year 2, year 3, sometimes it takes these young guys a little bit longer. He just hit the 3-plate club. Like, he's got promise. I saw Cleveland Farrell at OTAs and minicamp. He's really strong.
Yeah.
He's a grown man. He's 26. Yes. He had 3 sacks in minicamp in one day. So if one guy's asserting himself so far, it's Cleveland. Mm-hmm. What do you know about this guy?
Well, he's Mike Mayock's draft crush. He was their first guy. Kind of shocked people with how high he went, but the resume tracks. He was a All-American in 2016, ACC Defensive Player of the Year in 2018, the year before he got drafted. He's played in big games. The kid knows how to show up. Now, when he came to the Raiders, he was kind of, where he got drafted, I don't want to say it was not placed where he wasn't adequately placed where he should have been drafted, but he got asked a lot to do in Oakland. And he wasn't given the type of job skill set that he's going to be asked to do here, where he's going to be asked to get off the ball, be able to hold down the gap, create leverage, and go get the quarterback. And Oakland, he's 6'4", 260. If we got to go with body type, I say he more leans towards what you would see in Charles Omenihu. A little rangy.
I was just thinking that.
But a lot. But Charles with a little bit more frame, with a little bit more on top of him. And I think that if we're just going with body type, right, for what we would want in an NFL player, he's much more further along than Drake is. For what we will want, right? And Drake's on his way. Drake is coming. As we get closer to
no shot at Drake. Drake is super young.
Yep. As we get closer to the season, I feel like it's time to start bringing in all of the resources that we have to gather for our journey, right? And the things that we want Drake to do have been well documented, but that don't mean we don't want him on our team. That doesn't mean he's not going to be an asset, right? But what we want moving forward for what we know we need in that spot, because we are a very good defense, is we need a consistent level of productivity from opposite Nick Bosa. And I think that Cleveland Farrell is somebody that the Niners see has a viable chance of doing it, not just an outside chance.
The way I see this wide 9 fit, I feel like no one really runs it except the Niners. But it's kind of their thing. And you see a lot with D linemen. Sometimes it just clicks with them in this scheme. And they just, like Arden Key, Kerry Hyder. Like, they're good here, not necessarily other places. And, we've seen Drake Jackson here. He didn't tear it up on the 49ers in the scheme. Like, maybe he's a good fit for it. Maybe it'll work out. We don't know. Cleveland Farrell is kind of like that guy. He's been in a different scheme. He's been reading and reacting. He hasn't been, like, it might just click for him the way it clicked for Omenihu and Arden Key. Not saying it will, but all I know is at OTAs, he was the one flashing. I haven't seen Drake Jackson make a play yet, even in practice. So I'm intrigued. And also, you mentioned Omenihu. What did Chris Kasarik do with Omenihu and Arden Key to make them instant contributors when they sucked? They didn't suck, but they weren't contributors before they were here. What did he do?
He put him on the outside.
He would bring him inside on pass rush downs. So Menahu all of a sudden,
he
right?
He put them on the inside. Yeah, sorry,
correct.
He put them.
So both those guys became interior pass rushers. Is that the plan for Clelin Ferrell? Because I mean
he's bigger. He's bigger than Charles and Menahu. He's a lot more stout, and really, it's what you it's what we all envisioned when we got him inside of the building. We did expect him to kind of have a reclamation project on what was expected of him in Oakland. I don't think that we're going to be asking him to do all of that here in San Fran. I think that Clelin also for what he did flash with, because I really thought that the Raiders brought him in to kind of be everything. Pass pro, go get the quarterback.
To be Nick Bosa.
Right. But what he was good at right away was stopping the run.
Correct.
Clelin Ferrell is good against stopping the run. And that's something that we've had problems with.
Menahu isn't.
Yeah.
Not good.
Yeah.
Not good. Arden Key was not good. Yeah.
Yeah. And those are the things that we had problems with later in the season, because teams, in order to supplant a good pass rush, one of the best things that you have to do is you have to know how to run the ball. So a lot of teams are going to try to run the ball against our defense to make us prove that we can stop the run first before we start giving them opportunities at their quarterback.
And losing Samson Ebukam is a big loss from the run defense standpoint.
Yes.
The way D'Amico would talk about him and Robert Saleh before is that he was the best run defender on the edge that the Niners had, even better than Bosa, no shot at Bosa. That's how much respect they had for Ebukam. So I don't know that Clelin Ferrell can do that, because Ebukam could set the edge and contain a quarterback. He's so fast for a guy. He's so strong. Ferrell's a little bit bigger. I don't know if he's as mobile. Anyway, if he could be a starting base end, and then on pass rush downs, sometimes when you want to give Eric Armstead or Javon Hargrave a blow, move him inside.
Yeah.
Could work.
Kick him down, and then
could
that's
work.
when you
and even if
Drake,
he can't do that, just as a base end to stop the run is good right away.
And then,
but he might be able to do more.
If we do it that way, Iggy, if you think about it, that'll also give Drake his opportunities to get reps, being able to kick Clelin down and put Drake on the outside. Yeah.
And only play him on pass rush down, so he doesn't have to worry about stopping the
run. And then, you know, also social engineer some of his skill set. Drake is very athletic. You know, he can
do
run.
Stunts.
Yes,
he can do stunts, all that stuff.
He's very fleet of foot. He can change directions. For the change of direction that Drake Jackson has is very, very elite. That is some of the things that we did see out of him right away that made the second round pick feel like a steal. So Drake Jackson has worth. He has worth that belongs on this team. It's just that, you know, he's on the strongest unit on our team, if not in the National Football League. So the standards are on a whole nother level. Right.
And look, I didn't play football. You played football. You played in the trenches. That's in the NFL. Those are grown men.
It's grown men.
It's grown men. Like we saw Kinlaw come in. Kinlaw was the strongest dude in the SEC. He came into the NFL. He went one-on-one against Lake and Tomlinson the first day in training camp. Sorry, dude. Like that's a grown man who's got better technique than you and even more strength. So Drake Jackson, you got a future, but Clelin Ferrell is 26. It's a grown man. There's no questions about his strength. And he's the one already making plays at minicamp. So I think he should be on Niner fans' radar as someone who could actually matter this year. Right. And this is the Chris Kasarik reclamation project of the year, Ferrell. And Drake might be a future project.
I'm here to see it. I think that Clelin, when he came in, he touched on it right away in his opening interview during the summer, that it's been known why defensive linemen come into this organization and they come out with better situations, or they revive their career or change the narrative of their career. So he already knows why he's here. And he just doesn't strike me as somebody who will come in here and waste this type of opportunity. So I'm excited for him, because I feel like it's two deals. It's two people with like-minded interests, right?
Yep.
He's trying to revive his career, and we need somebody to play outside of their salary, to be honest.
And like, think about it. Like, who are you betting on to have a bigger year this year? Well, I'm going to say my thought process. Drake or Ferrell. Drake or Ferrell. Well, Drake probably has more upside, but Ferrell is 26, and he's got all the urgency. It's now or never.
Yeah.
So he's got the strength. He's got the urgency. He's probably got the mindset to show out every day of practice, like I saw him do in minicamp. Drake, he's still growing up. Drake thinking, I got a future, you know?
Correct me if I'm wrong. We got him for a year. How long did we get Cleveland?
Yeah, he's not making that much money. It's all about what he can
so,
show this year to make money next year. So it's a dude.
Yeah, this could be
a contract year for him.
That he could like catapult his career completely different direction. So
you know what the meeting was when they sat down. It's like, look, we can't offer you more than the minimum, but let me show you what Charles Omenihu got this year. Let me show you what Arden Key got the year before. That could be you.
Yeah, and that's why he took the job. Yeah, exactly. And you know, it's one thing I will say that I love about our team is that for what it's worth, if you have a starting job on this team, it's because you earned it, right? Yep. But there's too much competition on this team for anybody to just, sit down and be an incumbent and just think they have a starting position. So again, we got Drake in the second round. Shoot, we've let go of picks that we took two picks on. I mean, we don't care as far as our organization is concerned. Like whoever gets on the field to help us win.
Yeah. And this is why the NFL is so tough. Like Drake, you think you're really good. Like, no offense. Like you got this pedigree, your second round pick. Everyone's talking about how good you can be, but now you got to compete with a guy who's 5 years older than you, stronger than you, probably more mature than you because his career's on the brink of collapse right now. I got more to lose than you. Yeah. It's a contract. You're like, hey man, like I'm betting on Cleveland just because.
And expectation. Yeah. This guy, Cleveland Ferrell was a legit guy in college.
Oh yeah.
Right?
No. Let me like, and Drake was not. Let me real quick. Cleveland Ferrell, 27 sacks in college, 11 and a half his last year, 9.5 the year before that. Like Drake had like 10 sacks in college.
Yeah.
All the projection to Drake.
And that's something that I feel like as fans, we treat the guys like baseball cards, right? They come in and then we care about them. We may flip them over and look at their stats for a couple of minutes, and then we think we know about them. But we're talking about pedigree of player here, and Cleveland Ferrell is the number 4. He was a number 4 overall pick. He was the ACC Defensive Player of the Year. Yeah. He's an All-American. Cleveland Ferrell is looking at Drake Jackson like, kid, you better be ready because I'm not playing with you. And that's the league.
And like Drake Jackson, I'm looking at it. He had 12 and a half sacks in college. So everything, like it's all been a projection for Drake Jackson. He was a late second round pick, could have fallen farther than that. Niners acting like they had this huge steal. Yeah, if it all pans out for Drake, but he never ever proved it the way that Cleveland did in the ACC. So again, maybe Drake Jackson is better than him, but is he better than him now? Honest, I don't know.
I have to do this, Iggy, because there's somebody right now who's thinking the way I'm thinking. We just built the case for Brock over Trey with this Cleveland Ferrell versus Drake scenario.
Well, I see what you mean, but again, like this,
this
would be more like Darnold. This would be more like Darnold because Ferrell's 26. I think Darnold's 27, 26. Like he's 26. So it's just a guy like a guy who's approaching his because again.
Yeah, right.
What's his face? Darnold's on a 1-year deal too. Darnold's a 26-year-old 1-year deal, about to wash out.
Not
third pick, fourth pick.
Yeah,
it's Darnold.
Not Trey and Brock, but Trey and Sam.
Yeah,
that's kind of like
I kind of did.
Yeah.
But it's a different case. All I'm saying is Ferrell would made plays. I was like, wow, Darnold hasn't made plays like that yet. When Darnold does, I'll let you know. But Ferrell's like, oh. But yeah, he's beating guys who aren't going to make the team. We'll have to see how he does against.
Yeah, we got to see him.
McKivitz. How he does against McKivitz. All right, Smack Jones. This is a good topic. Let's add this to the list. Who is going to be the third starting linebacker, fellas? Also, what do y'all think will be the strongest and weakest unit on the team this year? Okay, let's start with the linebacker because I think that's a good topic in and of itself.
Right.
It's an underrated position. People are like, oh, it's not even a starter. It's really the nickel. Their third linebacker last year, Azeez Al-Shaair, was a very good player. Very good player. And now he's going to be starting and playing most of the snaps for Houston. So that's a loss. Who is going to be the new third linebacker in your estimation?
My opinion, Marcelino McCrary-Ball, in my opinion. So body type wise, I think that Marcelino is already there. I thought he had the body to play linebacker when we got him as a rookie, quite honestly. He's athletic. If we're going to compare him to the position, he's everything that we need, but we've just got to see him get coached up and get the reps. If we're scouting him against Azeez, I think he has the possibility to be better. He's faster than him. He's bigger than him. And he plays with a little bit, from what I've seen in him in the preseason, he plays with young guys, but he's very instinctual and fast. So now we do have D winners, right? And we do have what's that, Oren Burks. So we do have guys that will fill in. And honestly speaking, Marcelino may be the flash pick, right? Because he may be the sexy pick because he's what's there. But on a defense as good as ours, you may need somebody in that position that's simply going to do their job, right? Because if you think about it, Aziz isn't playing Sam. He's not going to Houston to play the same position. Aziz is going to play Mike. He's going to run that defense, right? So so in some ways you could say that Aziz was underutilized in this defense for what his true skill set could be. So maybe a guy like Oren Burks will fit exactly what was asked of Aziz in that position, so that's a position for Oren. And then Oren plays a lot more than Marcelino too, because Oren plays special teams. So you never know.
I'm betting on Oren. betting on Oren. I think they really like Oren. Oren was the 3rd round pick. Oren was drafted by the Packers 18 picks after the Niners took Fred Warner. He's got pedigree too. He went to Vanderbilt. He's 6'3". He plays special teams. He can cover a little bit. I think he's going to get the first crack at it. If he fails, it'll be Marcelino or D Winners. But I think they really like Oren Burks. And anytime, Greenlaw or one of those linebackers was not in the game last year, I felt like Burks was the next man up. And I think they're kind of hoping he takes that spot, at least this year. That's my guess. Burks.
Well, I mean, it is a numbers game, and Oren already has the up on the position because he plays more than one position. Oren plays special teams. So
correct.
I stand corrected. Yeah, it would be.
I mean, look at his numbers from the combine, dude. He's 6'3", 233, ran a 4.59. His vert was a 39.5. His broad jump was 10 feet 11 inches. His 20-yard shuttle was 4.15. His 3-cone drill was 6.82. Like those are just as good, if not better numbers than Fred Warner. There's a reason he got taken the same spot, and I think the Niners might have the same.
Yeah, I mean, Oren can run for how to use him. He can run. Yeah. So I like both of those, but I feel like that position is in good hands, honestly.
Don't worry about it. It's Johnny Holland. Give Kyle credit. We're going to talk about what he does well, but a little preview. One of the things he does is hire some of his position coaches are just flat out
the stats
phenomenal. Holland's one of them. If not, he could be the best one on the team. He's got
a couple of guys on this staff that are best in the biz.
Yes, he does. Smack Jones also asked strongest and weakest unit on the team. Real quick. Strongest, I would say the linebackers. Could be linebacker. Yep.
Yeah, it's the most unquestioned. I feel like it's the most unquestioned transferable room that we have. Like, it's not. I look at what the rest of the league says about our team, right? Not just how we feel about our team. And when people look at our D-line, there's other D-lines that compare to us, but interior-wise, we leave a little bit to be desired. And we don't have another bookend to really match.
But everyone says the Niners is the best linebackers in the league.
But
everyone says
it's unquestioned.
Even without Aziz.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's what's hilarious. When people say we have the best linebacker room in the league, they're only looking at Dre and Fred on the field. We always have to bring up Aziz.
Right.
You know what I mean?
It's true. All right, Lobs all day. Hey, Lobs, first of all, I apologize for making fun of you on Twitter today. It's all love, man. I know, unless you hate me, but I don't hate you. I'm sorry I did that. You're a good guy. Thanks for the donation. He says, go on YouTube and find me a single throw Denver Peyton Manning made that Purdy can't. His arm was shot post-neck surgeries, brachial plexus injury. All right, fair enough. I'll find it. I bet you I will. You telling me, I'll look, but you're telling me that Peyton Manning didn't have one 40-yard throw up the sideline in Denver ever? I bet he did. I'll find it. You find it, Lobs. Give me a 30. You can't find one? 35-yard throw up the sideline?
The inference that you went to go look for Peyton Manning to prove your point versus Brock Purdy lets me know where you stand right now.
Yeah.
Like, Peyton Manning.
Yeah. Yeah, he's okay. All right. Okay. All right. Let's moving on. So, before we get into Kyle Shanahan, let's do our daily Trey Lance conversation.
All right.
What I think is so interesting about this Trey Lance thing is that he hasn't failed, and yet the Niners are flirting with burying him on their depth chart or even trading him when Brock Purdy's fully back. Mm-hmm. And it's like, it's understandable if they think Brock is super special, but like they keep trying to erase our memory like in Men in Black. that they spent 3 years worth of first-round picks on Trey Lance and started him 4 games.
Mhm.
3 first-round picks, 4 starts, and they like Brock better. It's one thing if a team trades for a player who's a bust. Carson Wentz didn't work out. The Eagles gave him every chance. It didn't work out. They moved on. It happens. They're still a good organization. But to make that kind of an investment and then throw it away before it ever had a chance to establish any kind of value or increase its value feels like malpractice from a business sense. Just business. Thinking of it as an investment. You made a huge investment. It didn't flop. You didn't get any results. You just gave up before the results came in. That's crazy. I don't know. What do you think?
All right. Well, let's look at it this way. I'll create a scenario for you. Iggy, you and I have a relationship. I would say that we're cool, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But we also have a business relationship, right? We're in business. And
Correct.
if we're in business and we have a partnership and you catch me stealing, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And if you catch me stealing, but you retrieve the assets that I stole, will we still continue business?
No, we wouldn't be friends either.
Right. And
right.
It wouldn't be, even if I said, but Ig, you got your stuff back, you no harm, no foul, it wouldn't be about the asset. It will be about the trust broken. I cannot trust you, coach. We can't move forward. And I don't know if you're going to do it again. I can't trust whether or not.
In fact, I probably got to count on you doing it again.
In fact, I have to count
I probably got to count on you doing it again. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Especially if I'm trying to move on from it and not be responsible for what I did. Right.
Right.
So let's get a couple of things out of the way. This has nothing to do with Trey Lance being good or not.
Right.
Okay. This has nothing to do with Trey Lance starting, playing. And Trey never plays a game for the 49ers. That's just what it is. Right.
Yeah.
We can't do anything about that.
Right.
But we're talking about the organization. And what we essentially did was we traded 3 first-round picks for 3.5 games.
Yeah.
That's what we did.
How do you do that? It's
you
inexcusable.
Can't get around that.
That's what happened.
You can't get around that. So all of the stuff that happened in the middle, we found Brock, Jimmy stayed, he left, he came, all of that.
NFC Championship appearance, great.
NFC Championship appearance, we would have won if Brock's arm would have stayed together.
Yeah.
Niners football is back, all of it. That's cool. What are we going to do about spending 3 first-round picks on 3.5 games?
That's right.
And aren't you a little concerned that we haven't had the conversation yet? I kind of feel like, in a sense, it feels like the conversation is being swept under the rug. We're kicking the can. There's no responsibility tied to the assets because the picks are gone. We're going to have our picks next year. All right? Those picks are long gone. Whatever. The games are played.
Yeah.
But what type of assurances do we have moving forward with this regime that this won't happen again?
Well, it's happened more than once. That's what's so troubling about it. They did this with another Trey in the same draft. People forget about it and don't care, but it mattered. They traded 2 fourth-round picks to move up in the 3rd round for Trey Sermon. They gave him 41 carries and waived him. Like, say what you want about Trey Sermon. Jordan Mason was better. You can't just burn draft capital. You got to stop trading up for players, running backs and quarterbacks that you're not all in on, that you could change your mind on after 4 games, 41 carries, 100 throws. Like, if you're that fickle, you never should be trading up for these guys. And they do it.
I'll give you the caveat, Grant. I'll give you the caveat for those who are listening. But we do so well later in the draft. We do so well developing later draft picks. It doesn't matter. It does.
It does matter. It only doesn't matter if you win a Super Bowl. Because until you win a Super Bowl, what we could say is, well, you might have won one by now if you hadn't burned 3 first-round picks. Yeah. Burned them.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's like 50% of my whole Trey needs to play campaign, if you will. That's like 50%
from a business sense. That's just good business. You made an investment.
I know that there's a thread that is going to unravel an entire quilt if you have to answer that question. Because if you have to answer for the 3 first-round picks that you wasted on Trey, that means that you have to be culpable now. All right. And now that you're go ahead.
Yeah. No, go ahead. Go ahead. You're rolling. You're rolling.
Now that you're culpable, that means that the clock starts on how long you need to be here. I feel like we're in this purgatory where, for some reason, as long as we keep resetting this quarterback situation, or as long as we keep resetting our focus on how we're going to try to get a Super Bowl, we forget the fact that the meter is running. We're 7 years in. You know what I'm saying?
And I think the Niners are sort of counting on the fact, well, Niner fans, the Niners are thinking, well, it doesn't matter that we not missed on Trey, but that we just kicked the can on Trey and didn't give him a chance because Brock's our franchise quarterback and we're going to win a Super Bowl. If that happens, if Brock turns into Tom Brady and they win multiple Super Bowls, then yeah, ultimately this won't matter. But failing that, this is going to matter. And this is going to follow the Niners around forever.
Failing that. And really, the entire league is kind of savoring this opportunity, and the entire league is waiting to pounce on this, right? No, this is a slow rolling boil on this whole Trey Lance situation, because it's not.
They're waiting.
You have your fans that are sensationalized about how they think he should play, but this is the league. The league is all about good and bad business. All right. And I don't care who you are. Bad business gets you fired.
Yes.
That's the facts. All right.
Yeah.
So 3 first-round picks and not being able to answer for them. Brock has to work in more than one way. Brock working not only gets us our championship, but Brock working gets all of these guys paid. It keeps the salary cap going where it needs to go. And it absolves this regime of the 3 first-round picks that they spent on a quarterback who they only let play 3.5 games.
Right.
You can't. All right. So that's why I feel for Brock in certain ways on the pressure that is on him, because he has a lot of undue stress on him playing week 1, that there's a lot of it that has nothing to do with him.
Yeah. What is the big deal about him playing week 1? If he's ready week 3, that's fine. It just seems like the Niners are putting, he'll be ready week 1. I saw him throw 2 passes. He's good.
If Brock isn't ready week 1, then that means that the Niners definitely have to either roll out what they have with Trey, and if Trey struggles, then that means the clock starts on what you did with Trey, and now you got to get rid of him. And if he struggles, Trey's trade value plummets. Okay.
Yeah.
But if you start Sam, you've effectively killed Trey's trade value already, because you've picked another 3rd overall pick who you didn't pick over the guy that you have in your own building. So Brock has to play. Yeah,
absolutely. Yep. Lobs All Day says Peyton threw 55 touchdowns in 2013 on Denver. That's a non sequitur. Totally. Like, thank you though. Lobs All Day says Kurt Warner, Drew Brees, Joe Montana, Fran Tarkenton, Denver, Peyton all had similar arms to Purdy. Dude, you are delusional. You're delusional.
You're delusional with money though.
But I appreciate that. Thank you. John B says, question for you both. Let's say Brock is a limited participant in training camp and plays no preseason, but Trey looks good in training camp and preseason. Do the Niners still start Brock over Trey? I think they do, and I think it'd be a mistake.
They would still
play Brock. I think they do, and I think it's a mistake. Yeah.
Because I feel like if that happened, they're so arrogant. Like, if that happened, they would look at that as Trey's trade value going up, not Trey being promising.
Correct. Yep.
They would look at that as like, oh, now they really can see what he could do. Let's trade him. They wouldn't take it.
I'm with you. Crazy Rod 16 says Bill Walsh would have taught Trey Lance how to be a better quarterback. He would have. I'm not saying he would have made Trey Lance a Hall of Fame quarterback. I don't know. He would have made him a very good quarterback.
No. I want to push against that. With Bill Walsh, at least we would have known what Trey Lance is.
Correct. There you go. Yeah. Now, I mean, there's still this feeling, not a feeling, but a feeling that he hasn't been coached.
Yeah.
He hasn't been coached.
Well, and then those who don't want to say he hasn't been coached, just call him a bust.
Okay. So Lobs All Day, who says that Brock Purdy is sort of like Peyton Manning and Drew Brees and Kurt Warner and Joe Montana rolled into one, says Trey Lance is like Paxton Lynch and Deshaun Kaiser. Physical tools, but don't have the instincts, feel for the position, calmness under pressure, accuracy for the position.
If he would consolidate the chats and just send a $20 chat, I'm just trying to help you out, Lobs.
Lobs, man, we've all read your take on Trey a million times on Twitter, man. I mean, you called it with Brock. We'll see if you're right on Trey, but like, what is the need for certain people to just repeat themselves over and over and over about Trey? It's like, yeah, man, we heard you. We heard Flav. You guys might be right. I mean, we're going to need a little bit more information, but we heard you, man. I thank you for the $5, so I really do. But yeah, we're well aware of where you stand on the issue, Lobs.
It's good insight.
Thank you so much for your opinion. No, expert opinion. Tyler says Brock is like the Miami Heat of football. We have to play perfect football with Brock. Brock is like the Miami Heat of football.
Yeah, like the Miami Heat of football. Like, you know how the Miami Heat there, they have to play perfect ball in order to stay in the game. They can't have a bad shooting night. They can't not do good on rebounding. Every single facet of the team has to be clicking for the Heat to win.
That's true.
I see what
and they can make these runs. They can make these runs, but ultimately they're not good enough.
Yeah, I mean, you're a Chrysler 300. You look like a Phantom until a Phantom pulls up.
Yeah, you're a Kia Stinger, man. You are not a Porsche, whatever. I got a Kia Stinger. It's nice, but
it's a good vehicle.
360 horsepower. Not that I ever use it. I drive slow. I'm old.
You're a slow driver.
But I got slap in the trunk, so come see me.
Did you get that 12 fixed?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Well,
phenomenal. Life is just not good enough without a 12 in the. Anyway, are you a 12 guy or a 10 guy? Do you like that crispy pop? Do you like that thunder? See, I got I might switch it up. 2 10s is
210.
It hits
it's
harder.
More classy.
Yeah.
People know you got some shit, but you're not being ignorant. Like 210s is the way to go.
I like 12. That's thunder, man. That's got that low rumble. It's fun.
True.
I like that. But anyway, 2001 Afghanistan goal, get bin Laden. Whoa, okay. 2006 AFG goal, get Taliban. 2011 AFG goal, democracy. 2020 AFG goal, women's rights. Kyle, like the Department of Defense, perfected the art of doubling down on a poor decision. That came out of left field.
That was a fire-ass quote, though. Because I'm into politics. That tracks. Wow. That tracks.
I'm not into politics, so thank you very much for schooling me on that one. Wow.
Right.
Kyle is like the Department of Defense. Wow.
The DOD, kicking the can, repurposing it, rinse and repeat. I agree with that.
All right. Rob Martin says, afternoon, gentlemen. Start Trey. Only thing we should be talking about is quarterback order. Shouldn't be talking about getting rid of anybody. Did people forget we went through 4 quarterbacks last year? You know who didn't forget that? The Niners.
Yeah, because they're keeping them all.
I think it's so funny that the Niners were like, man, we went through hella quarterbacks this year. What are we going to do? Should we fix our offensive line? Kyle's like, nah, fuck that. Let's just get 2 tight ends and a couple more quarterbacks.
Motherfucker. Let's go.
Nah, fuck that. Nah, let's get worse on the offensive line. That's what we're going to do. I love that shit.
Yo.
Kyle's hilarious. Kyle's hella funny sometimes. Richard Clark says, at what point does the legend of Brock Purdy outgrow his actual ability? I think that happened. That happened. Just like it happened with Jimmy immediately. That's what we're talking about.
Not only did it happen, but what's hilarious about it is those who saw it, how they're interpreting it, like how they're saying that it happened.
Yeah,
we
like
games. No,
yeah.
Brock got.
He's basically like Peyton Manning.
Well,
no, not at all. No. He's like Brock Purdy. Yeah.
I love this. We are gonna look back on this pocket of time and look at all of the people repurposing Brock Purdy's skill set as if it's Peyton Manning. We're gonna go back to all of these people with dynamic microphones standing in front of their cameras talking about yards per throw.
I got a theory. People like Lobs and Larry. I'm not trying to be disparaging here. This is a compliment. Those guys saw it early on Brock. That was the last pick in the draft, and they were like, no, this dude's legit. And they were right. So that's like winning the lottery. It's like, oh my God, I was freaking right. And so I think once you win, it's like being at the craps table, or you just won big. And you're like, now I got to keep it rolling. Now I got to say he's like going to be a franchise quarterback. It's like, no. Like, cash out. You won.
A tittle.
You won. Like, you're a millionaire. Don't let it ride. You're not on a heater. You got one. But I feel like, Larry, I love you, man. I feel like maybe not Larry as much as Lobs is just saying like, okay, I was right that he was legit. Now I'm going to say he's a franchise quarterback. I think Larry's saying you can't say he's not a franchise quarterback, or you can't say he won't be, which is fair. Lobs is over here saying this dude is Peyton Manning, which I got to be like, man, you got to walk away from the craps table at this point, man.
Not only that,
you're up big.
Not only that, though, but what Lobs is doing and what other people are doing. When you say that Brock is going to be somebody else, what you're effectively saying is that Brock right now is the finished product of what you think he is. And the thing that Lobs and other people aren't looking at is that when you bring up things like Peyton Manning wasn't even Peyton Manning when he came in the league. Peyton Manning was throwing picks everywhere.
He lost so many games.
Lost so many games that people forget about Drew Brees. Drew Brees' career was in the balance in San Diego.
Oh, it was. They were so disappointed in him. They drafted Phillip Rivers, and that sort of lit a fire under him.
Come on,
real quick. Peyton Manning was originally Jameis Winston. That dude threw 28 picks in his first season, 15 in the next, 15 in the next, 23 in the next, 19. I mean, dude, in his first 5 years, that dude threw damn near 100 picks. Peyton Manning.
In some ways, that's a whole nother conversation outside of this show. But I don't think you're ever going to really see any of those guys anymore because you don't have the patience. Even Patrick Mahomes was given a little bit of time that even Trey Lance isn't getting. Right? So like
it's true.
Like look at for the Bills, Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts. I mean, these guys got time. They got a whole franchise wrapped around them. They had a coach tether his career to them. So it was real accountability between them. That's not what we're doing here. That's not what we're doing here.
No. May says, I had a dream last night that Brock was injured in a game and Darnold came in as a second string. Trey was third string. I'm an Eagles fan. WTF. Maybe tell us about your Thank you for letting it. I don't ever remember my dreams, man. They flee immediately. SF Bay drummer says, Grant, spent some money and put 4 15s in the trunk. 4 15s, man. That's a lot. That would just be rude for the neighborhood, I think. I don't think that would be considerate. Flave says who am I trying to impress? Flave says, if I had 4 15s and I outwalked a 35-year-old white guy, everyone would be like, can't happen. Absolutely not. I have to, within reason over here. Flave says, if Walsh traded 3 firsts for Trey, the Druckenmiller pick would have looked incredible. Walsh never would have traded 3 firsts for anyone. Did he ever do that? He traded down. He traded a second and a fourth for Steve. So but again, you can't fault Trey for that. But Kyle trading 3 firsts for anyone, let alone a guy in college.
Right. And you know what? And again, and I'll say it too, and this is, I pretty much have been known to be a Trey supporter. Trey got paid, right? Mm-hmm. So we're talking about effectively.
He got a Maybach this week.
Yes. We're effectively talking about, we're keeping our organization on the right path because we know what it's like to be a dumpster fire. And we're seeing behavior that is very, very troublesome. And if we're sitting here focused on the season and trying to win games, then who's watching Kyle? Who's watching these guys to challenge them about the 3 first-round picks that are sitting here gone? Like, who's doing that? Like, is it really? Do we really gotta wait for Dr. York to come down and start walking around with his hands behind his back? Is that what has to happen?
I think that's what happened. That has to happen. I swear.
Yeah.
Which is silly. In which case, dude, why don't you buy a house a little closer to the stadium and stick around, man? Don't just come once a year when things are looking a little dicey.
Yeah.
Crazy Rod 16 says in Columbia, hate the Trey Lance haters. Hate the Trey Lance haters. Are there Trey Lance haters in Columbia? That would be wild, man. That's people crazy. Just walking around being like, hey, screw Trey Lance. It's like, what? I don't even know. Steve M says, been watching your channel for a cool minute, and for my money, here it is, Grant. Thank you. And in no particular order, Papa Cohn, Jesse, Vish, Rob, Stats, and the coach, they always bring something to the table.
Thank you, man.
Absolutely. I have some heavy hitters on my channel. Lobs all day. Thank you for sticking with us, Lobs. I'm only comparing arm strength here. Never said Brock is Peyton. I did say Purdy will be a franchise quarterback before his first start. Hey, salute, respect. I do say, hey, Lobs, I make fun of you on Twitter, but you called it, man. Respect.
Yeah, I didn't see that. Nobody saw it.
The rest of your life, put that on your resume. That's legit, dude. Real deal stuff. Mm-hmm. I don't know what the hell I'm looking at with quarterbacks. especially in college. When I see him on a field in person, I get a better feel. But watching the tape, I'm wrong. I always trick myself. Like I thought Kellen Mond was good. Nope.
It's just it's a very intricate position.
It's hard.
It's not hard. It's not easy.
No.
I don't even really know that much about like
it's tough.
how to coach up a quarterback like that. It's hard, man.
All I want to say is me and Lobs both like DTR this year, so I feel good about that. Hopefully I'm right and you're right too, Lobs. All right, let's get to the Kyle Shanahan stuff. Positive. Let's list every single thing we can think of that Kyle Shanahan does best. And let's try to leave no stone unturned. People in the chat, if we miss something, you don't even have to super chat it. I'll look. I want to get a complete exhaustive list of Kyle Shanahan's best qualities. You start. We can go back and forth.
All right. Number one that I would say is that Kyle is extremely intelligent. Kyle is a very smart coach. I will say that Kyle is very good at acquiring not just a staff, but a curated staff that fits his system. He knows there is nobody inside of that building that is doing their own thing. Everybody is on one collective effort and goal. And another thing that I like about Kyle with his staffing is that you can see the Rolodex over time, right? So a lot of people in Kyle's enclave are former players, former coaches that he either coached with or coached against. So a lot of the players that we ingest are people that we've played against, people that we've gone around. And what that says to me, being a head coach, is that says that Kyle is very conscientious. He's always paying attention to his environment around him and what's being done in the competitive nature. So you want me to lobby it back to you or
yeah, you said it back to me. One thing I like, you mentioned this, the intelligence. I think one thing you see with Kyle is like, once he has a feel for the identity of his offense that year, and it does take him maybe a month and a half, 2 months. Once he has a feel for that, and maybe he has a feel for what other teams in the league are trying to do on defense, his game plans,
it blossoms. Oh
my God.
It does.
His game plans are phenomenal. And it's not to be fair. It's not just on offense, man. His defensive game plans, from D'Amico to Saleh, I'm thinking, I don't know about Wilkes yet, but from D'Amico to Saleh, those game plans were just as good, if not better. So the Niners can beat you physically. He puts together this physical team, but they also like outthink you. It's like the best of both worlds: a physical team, but also a smart team. I mean, during that 12-game winning streak last year, like they were out game planning teams and out physicaling teams at the same time. Who else does that? That's really impressive.
I mean, if you think about it, we got Matt Rule fired. We outclassed. We outclassed the Panthers. And that's when you see things like that. That's not just an ass whooping. That's when you bring an entire organization into our organization, and owners are paying attention, and they're looking around and they're seeing like, man, look how this guy runs his team. Look at how these guys roll out and play ball.
I want that. I want that.
Exactly.
Yeah. I wish my team played that hard.
We were the deciding factor against that guy. I believe that got Matt Rule fired. Him seeing how we handle business. Also, I would like to talk about how Kyle's relationships with his players. Kyle really gets together a strong leadership council on his teams.
Right.
He's
not the leader. They're the leader.
They are.
Yeah.
Right.
You
I
lead.
like to say the 49ers do not have team captains. We have a board of directors. So, Kyle's the CEO. So, right with that, I really think that there's a lot of pros to a strategy that way. A lot of buy-in, a lot of hearts and minds. You get a lot. You bring in a lot of,
which is like 80% of coaching, right? Or like 90% of coaching. You can't do anything if they don't buy in. Yeah,
exactly.
Anything.
One of the things that Kyle brought, something that I know that Kyle brought up when he brings up a lot when he first came to the 49ers, is that he was very, very hard up on trying to change the culture here. He wanted to be able to get the players to practice a certain way, to be able to work out in the offseason a certain way, knowing that being in the NFL isn't good enough. You have to be a pro. in the NFL. That's one thing. That's another thing that I love about our team that I feel comes directly from Kyle is when we do ingest players into our organization, we have a Niners standard. We don't just have a NFL standard, right? So there's a lot of times where and we've seen it. We've seen rookies that have come here that cannot keep up to the pace and the competitive nature of this ball club. And that's because of what Kyle has created here.
Okay, I got more. George Kittle was talking recently about how diverse the Niners run game is and how much it's evolved the last few years. And he said, what we were doing the first 2 years here is not what we were doing. We've been doing since 2019. What happened in 2019? Chris Forster became the offensive line coach. They got rid of Tom Benton. They brought in Chris Forster. And between Forster and Bobby Turner, I mean, they have the best coach run game in the league. Those two guys. I mean, I'm taking Kyle out of it, but he gets credit for having them.
Yeah,
between
he gets
Forster
credit,
and Turner,
I don't. The Niners.
It's always going to be a good run game. Yeah,
they need to understand what we have in a coaching staff as far as our run game is concerned. Right? We don't just have a running backs coach or an offensive line coach.
The best.
Coach Forster is the preeminent subject matter expert at the offensive line position for the outside zone.
Yeah,
we have the number one offensive line practitioner at offensive line. And if you think about it, it's the same thing with Chris Cassert. Chris Cassert gets a lot of love on this football team, but there's not a lot of offensive linemen coaches who could take on a guy and linemen are big. We got to come with strength and agility. It's a technique position. And a lot of times with linemen, you kind of come in as you are, right? If you're a backup coming in as a rookie, you're going to be a career backup, right? Not a lot of times are you going to elevate to becoming a starter, right? It's just when you're a lineman, you're a little bit more of a grown man already, right? And what's special about that is that I don't believe that there's a lot of teams that could have done with Aaron Banks what we did, where we were able to get Aaron Banks and bring him in and understand that he was a little less desirable than what we wanted, and to be able to shelf him, change his body, still keep technique on him, and then be able to not only change his body, keep technique, but keep confidence and come in and still play. That's 100% attributed to Coach Forster. Another thing that we don't talk about with Coach Forster as far as coaches is concerned is that we lost our run game coordinator in Mike McDaniels years ago. And Coach Forrester was the one who took over.
Taught him.
Who came in. And we didn't miss a beat with Mike McDaniels leaving. And as far as Mike McDaniels leaving, I remember the rhetoric around that was he was the mad scientist. No, he was the one that found
Forster.
Debo. No. Yeah. Right.
Forster's the one that taught McDaniel.
Yes. So Coach Forster is not just a offensive line coach. He's the best at what he does in the scheme that he does. And so is Bobby Turner. So when you take those two men who not only are great at what they do, but they've been around the block for a while. They've been here. It's no mistake why our run game is the kernel of what we do for our offense. And again, you have to attribute that to Kyle because they didn't just volunteer. They got hired.
And what Kyle does is what his dad did as well with Forster and Turner and before Forster was Alex Gibbs. What the Shanahans do is they take that great run game and then they pair it with the play action game that looks just like the runs. And they're really good at that. So when people say, the Niners get guys wide open, that's what they're talking about. It's these play action passes. Teams are so concerned with the run game because it's so well schemed and there's so many good running backs that they start to stop it, and then boom, guys are wide open because the play action passes look exactly the same. It's a big thing. And then the last thing is, maybe not the last thing, but the motion. It's a huge part of what Kyle Shanahan does.
We lead the league.
Like every snap. And what are they doing? They're trying to get the defense to think, slow down, think. What's your gap assignment now? What's your gap assignment now? What's your gap assignment now? And if one guy messes that up out of 11, explosive play. And that's what the Washington team did in the 80s under Joe Gibbs. They did it all the time, and it's just to slow down defenses. What the Niners try to do. It's what other teams mimic because Kyle has success with it.
And we're going against the tide. You know, competitively, you have to look at the market of what it takes to win a Super Bowl. And I think that sometimes when you see everybody swimming with the current, you may say, well, why don't we go left while everybody's going right? You know, having a strong physical football team that can run the ball, that's not something that you want to see in the middle of the season when you're just trying to pass the ball. A lot of teams don't have a 60-minute ball club to put up with what we're willing to do for 4 quarters, especially with controlling the clock. So it's a very good strategy to go about dominating in football, and I'm happy that we're pretty much at the tip of the spear of the teams that are doing it that way.
I think we've listed everything he does well. That's about 20 minutes. Do we miss anything?
Yeah, I mean, he's just honest with players. I don't know. He has fairly good fashion sense for a middle-aged white guy.
Okay, let's give him that. We're good, right?
Yeah.
What's one thing we never mentioned in the last 15 minutes? One thing we never mentioned. The quarterback position.
Quarterback.
Okay, we're going to get to that in a second. Lobs All Day says, I'm only comparing arm strength here. Never said Brock is Peyton. I did say Purdy will be a franchise quarterback. Oh, we got you? All right, Lobs. Respect. Hold on. Ink Talk TV says, did Kyle create a system for backup quarterbacks? Kind of feels like it, right? Everything's about yards after the catch. I mean, there's no emphasis but getting the ball down the field. It's a type of offense where backups can really function really well because you're not asking a lot physically from them. You're not asking a lot physically from your quarterback.
Yeah, it's a little scoot and go offense.
For sure. It's almost a little high schooly.
Yeah.
Flave says, do you think it's possible that Kyle wanted Mac, but Jed overruled him because of pressure after the trade up? If so, imagine Kyle Shanahan's job security after drafting Purdy the following year and saving Jed's. No, I think what happened, my best guess, is that Kyle liked Mac and Trey, met with both of them, and I don't think the meeting with Mac went well. Because Kyle has a very particular personality, and he knows it. And he knows he needs a quarterback who has a very particular personality to work with him. Trey has it. Brock has it. Sam has it. Mac Jones does not have it. Does not have it. So I think that's what happened. I think it did not go well, the meeting between them. I could be wrong.
Yeah.
Ball of Vision says, what Kyle Shanahan does best, get his quarterback slaughtered and choke in the biggest games when it counts. Well, yeah. Okay, let's get there. So now let's do the other side of it. What does Kyle Shanahan do? Let's make a full list of Kyle Shanahan's worst qualities as a head coach. What are his biggest faults?
I would say getting out of the way.
Yeah.
That's one of the biggest things. I don't know, man. I mean, you want to be a coach, you want to be a coordinator, you want to be a player, you know.
Yeah. Who are you at any given time?
Yeah. I feel like if we're being fair, right? If we're being fair, the quarterback is the most important position in sports. Fuck football. And you know, being great, you know, because I want to keep context in the middle of this. Kyle is known as a great coach. He's known as a genius offensive mind, right? And those things can be true. You know, if enough people are saying it, all right, there's something there. But your greatness is measured on what you do great outside of your passion, not necessarily what people know you for. Now, we've had Kyle in front of us for 6 years, and it's been a great show. He's shown us everything. He's shown us his motions, his offense, how to get players and develop them. But
dang, Kyle called him and shut you down. That was Kyle?
Yeah, that was Kyle.
All right.
So
yeah.
No, but ultimately, what you want to do is you want to get better and you want to see somebody through to their full maturation process. And once you see, it's like being in a relationship. Everybody's coming with their representative when you first meet somebody, and they're giving you the best of what they got. But after a while, you're going to have to see the drawers in the sink. You know what I'm saying? And you're going to have to be in somebody's house and see how they really live. And once you see how they really live, you're going to start to see some things that, hey, maybe you could get better at this. Maybe you could work on this. And once you really live with somebody and you've chosen to really be 10 toes down with them, you start seeing flaws that that definitely need to be worked on for this relationship to even move forward, right? And one of that big thing for us is scouting, developing, and
protecting
the quarterback.
A trifecta. That's the thing with Kyle. Like the fact that he can't scout it, he can't coach it, he can't protect it. That's a huge problem.
Yeah,
and that's why this. If you say like, what's the biggest problem with the Niners? The quarterback position. It's not Kyle. Well, Kyle's the problem with the quarterback position because he can't scout it, develop it, or coach it,
or
protect it. And it's like they got Brock. Great, he didn't scout Brock. That was Steve Slowick. It was Brian Greasy, and then he got him hurt in 8 games. Like that's what Kyle does.
Yeah,
so
and
that's a big problem with Kyle.
And also, I feel like that when we do get, that's really not the issue, to be honest with you, because it is an issue, but it can be fixed. You can outsource, you can get people in, you can go, God forbid, go learn. You know what I'm saying? Like, I need to say something about that too. Back in the early 2000s, the read option and the zone read option, play action, all of that stuff was coming into the NFL, and it was taking the league by storm. And at that time, the number one guy in the league who was winning Super Bowls, which is crazy to me how we treat Kyle, but he was actually winning Super Bowls. Bill Belichick went out to Oregon and sat down with their staff for an entire summer, for 3 months and learned that offense. He sat down and humbled himself and understood that, look, this is something in my career that I cannot abide by. I can't call myself being one of the best coaches out here and being a true evaluator and not know this. And that's that's kind of like my next gripe with Kyle is I do question what kind of a student he is. Like, do you only look at the stuff that you want to look at? Like, are you out here? Are you only
an expert on your thing, or are you constantly trying to learn more?
Exactly. I mean, are you stretching yourself?
You have a very narrow scope of expertise. Very narrow. I mean, you can't coach a position. You only know one system. You don't know defense.
Yeah, and I just, for me, these aren't the things that you see when you want to nitpick at Kyle, right? This isn't stuff that comes up right away when you see Kyle. When you see Kyle, he's a very impressive head coach. Let's just get that out the way. Very impressive. Knows what he's talking about, straightforward, doesn't give you information that he doesn't feel like you need, and has a plan, right? Anybody can get behind that. But that's not what we're talking about. What we're talking about is the fact that we've been living with him, all right? We're not dating him.
And we know him too well. We know him way too well.
Exactly.
So I got some things that I would put on the does poorly category. He has great game plans a lot of the time, but he does not adjust well mid-game. In my opinion, he does not adjust well mid-game. And a lot of times what happens early in the season is he doesn't quite know an opponent. And so their game plans are so specific. We're going to get these fronts. We're going to get these pressures. Let's rep it all week, and this is how we're going to beat it. If you don't get the fronts, if they don't get the fronts that they thought they were going to get and they practiced against, they'll lose. And then George Kittle will come out afterward and be like, yeah, like we didn't expect to get those looks, and we didn't know what to do. Like,
right.
Okay.
And you're just parroting.
Okay.
And to piggyback on what you're saying, though, Grant, I mean, the offense, I need to see somebody else operating this offense outside of you to believe that it really works. Okay. Like if you're the only one that can wield this offense, then and I'm not talking about somebody that takes it and goes to another organization. No, I want to see this offense work with somebody else calling the shots and you being the head coach. That's a real transition that we need. Okay. Because I'm just being honest. How many times I feel like because of what we see out of the players that we have on offense, Trent Williams and Juice are probably the only 2 athletes on that team that are really being used to their full potential as far as being able to see everything that you want to do with them. I don't think that Debo runs the full. You good?
Yeah.
Kyle is fucking with us. But
that's messy.
I don't think they run the full complement of the route tree, and that's problematic for me. How many times Jimmy, all right, forget Brock, forget Trey. Jimmy was in this offense how many years as a starting quarterback?
Like 5.
5 years. Jimmy took this team to the Super Bowl and 2 NFC championship games, right? Think about this. How many times have any of you guys seen Jimmy call an audible?
It doesn't happen. Not allowed.
Think about that. Think
not
about
allowed.
that. Now, I'm not talking about coming to the huddle for 2-for-1.
Check with me. 1 run.
No check with me.
Not that.
No RPO. None of that. I'm talking about, when have you seen Jimmy in the middle of his cadence
call his own play? Yeah,
and call his own play. Look at Brandon Ayuk or look at Debo and call his own route.
Yeah.
When have you ever seen that? And if you can't say that you've seen that, then the offense was never really Jimmy's in the first place.
No.
He was just a practitioner of what Kyle wanted.
He's a joystick.
He's a
joystick.
And anybody who understands an offense now, you can, for our people who are saying, oh, well, the offense was new. Jimmy was in the offense for 5 years. You can't tell me by year 5 he didn't have any type of ownership in the scheme.
And if you don't trust a 30-year-old vet, then you're not going to trust a 23-year-old. But anyway, next one. He can't take any feedback.
Yeah.
So he's reached a level of success, but he hasn't won a championship, and he can't take any feedback on why. Every time he falls short, it's not his fault. And it's like his level of, and I don't want to be rude here because I do like him, but his level of ego and self-confidence or whatever you want is like dizzyingly high. It's like it's like borderline narcissistic. I don't want to say, I don't know that he's a personality disorder. He's narcissistic. Yeah,
right,
but it's like, you can't take any feedback. And when a reporter says respectfully, coach, blocking Hassan Reddick with Tyler Kroft, like he snaps at him and like is like, no, like that's I was right, and this is football.
Yeah,
it's like,
that was the play.
Like if you can't even be honest with yourself and take feedback, like you're gonna be doomed to making the same mistakes. And I feel like he has been doomed to making the same mistakes since 2016.
Well, I think that Kyle doesn't see mistakes. I think Kyle sees things that weren't ran the way that he wanted in the first place. Yeah. I don't see a lot of covering with Kyle where there is a mistake. Sometimes, being able to fall on your sword and cover for mistakes or be accountable. The beauty of that is like there's an unspoken conversation of the people who understand that you could shirk responsibility right now. Yeah. But you're falling on it right now, right?
Yeah. And it's not that you have to; it's that you're choosing to, and it's a good move.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not, you don't have to do this, but you're choosing to kill the fire right now and just be the guy
a leader.
That says it was my fault.
Be a leader.
Yeah. And I think that escapes him from. It's not taking blame or taking responsibility or being able to hear feedback isn't about getting it right or being right. It's about holding responsibility and making sure that the right people are protected, right? For
example, when we asked him after the Eagles game about that play where Hassan Reddick beats Tyler Kroft, head coach answers and says, "Yeah, that's on me. That's on me. I put our players in a bad position." But a coordinator says that's a play I call all. I have to call that play. That's my system. Nothing. That's football. Stuff happens. Head coach doesn't say that. It ultimately falls at his feet. Coordinator can say, "Hey, man, it's my system." And the head coach doesn't like it. He could have vetoed it. It's on him. Can't answer that way. You're talking like a coordinator. What do you want to be?
With you, Grant. I agree with you, Grant. And really, it's not fair. This is one thing that I want for Kyle. I want this for him. It's not fair to you to try to be the head coach and offensive coordinator at the same time. You're really wearing yourself out, honestly.
Yeah, you are.
Whether you know it or not.
They're both full-time jobs. They're both 24/7 jobs.
And I understand that you think you can do both, and the more people are around you that say you should not do both, you're a little bit more galvanized, but you want your coordinator to have that attitude. You do. You want your coordinator to be I want to
I'm always right.
Score every
I'm always right.
fucking time. I want to
be aggressive.
Yes, that is what a coordinator is, right? But those coordinators are they're nurtured to do that because they have a head coach. There's supposed to be an adult in the room that says, no, all right, that's not what we're going to do here.
And Kyle won't do that for himself. No.
Yeah.
No. And you know, when Mike Pettin tried to do that to him in 2014 in Cleveland, Kyle gave the hangdog look like, oh,
are you serious?
Do I really have to come home at 11 o'clock tonight, Dad?
Yeah. And but really? You can see in that moment, you can see that Kyle clearly needed that though. He needed to be told what to do at that time. You know what I'm saying? And there's nothing wrong with that. But the fact of the matter is that I don't think that there's anybody here that can like tap on the mic and be like, yo, don't run that shit, bro.
No,
don't run that.
No one can do that here. Absolutely no one can do that here. So there's no oversight here. And when people say, hey, man, he should be on the hot seat, or people like, oh, he's never going to be on the hot seat. Well, that's part of the problem. And that's not necessarily a Kyle problem. That's a Jed problem. They are not willing to hold him accountable for anything. He's not willing to hold himself accountable for anything. And so every year when they fall short, they blame someone who doesn't matter. Tyler Croft this year is your fault. The year before, Jaquaski Tart is your fault. No. It's bigger than Tart. It's bigger than Croft, but not in Kyle's eyes. And that's to me why this year it's highly likely that they're going to go to NFC Championship game again and lose, and they'll blame someone else who doesn't matter. And he'll be off the team. It'll be Juwan Jennings' fault because he dropped a pass or something. Like, no.
I'll say this. You know, we do a lot of paying attention to what we do, but the rest of the league is at work as well. They're working too. And we got to the NFC Championship game with a Brock Purdy effort at quarterback, right? Mm-hmm. Who's to say that this year a Brock Purdy effort at quarterback isn't even close to what we need to make it to the hunk?
Yep.
Everybody else is doing it. Yep. Everybody else is getting better, right?
Everyone's getting better.
Everybody's getting better. And another thing that I'd like to bring up as far as like getting better, what we do is we're talking about the Super Bowl. So there's only like really 5 to 6 teams that truly are who we're going to run into at the end of the year, right? Everybody's an NFL team, but all of the teams that call themselves Super Bowl contenders don't have a quarterback competition in the spring right now. Okay?
No, it's unserious. It's unserious.
None of those teams have a quarterback competition. And also, I would also go a step further and say that none of those teams are going to be trying to figure out how to ingratiate their starting quarterback with their ones by the time the season starts.
I know.
What we have to do is understand that best case scenario, that's if Brock comes back healthy, he's the starter, everybody gets what they want. We're a month behind the best teams in the league because they've had an entire training camp to play with their starter. You can't get around that. You can't get around the fact that we're playing a month behind in preparation with the best teams in the league that we're going to see at the end of the year. And you can't get over the fact that we traded 3 first-round picks for 3.5 games. And we're okay with that.
Yeah, he just burns this draft capital. I got 2 more things, and I think we'll wrap it up. We'll take a lot of super chats. Mm-hmm. So you mentioned earlier how he won't give up the play calling. To me, that's a mark of insecurity because I think if he gives up the play calling, then from his perspective, no, not just that. Like, what's my value to this team? If you thought that you were hell of a head coach, you give that up and be like, no, my value, I'm a head coach, okay?
I can let you.
Andy Reid does that. I'll let Eric Bieniemy call the plays. Like, I'm a head coach. I could do it, but my true value is the leadership position. Kyle won't do that because I think deep down, he thinks my true value is calling plays, man. Once I give that up, I'm not special. So that's that.
Kyle turns on when he gets that laminated Denny's menu.
That's it. That's his moment. That's it. So again, you're a coordinator at heart. And then last thing. So we said he has some great game plans, right? Great game plans. He also has some stinkers, dude. And it's not just at the beginning of the season. It's against Dallas. Like, you have all these great players, and you had this too cute game plan. You had to have Juszczyk and McCaffrey come up to you mid-game and be like, dude, what are we doing, man? This is way too cute. We're better than them. Let's line up and play. So that was the divisional round. Then in the championship game, just this week, you had George Kittle saying, man, Kyle's so smart. Like, he sets up plays. He doesn't just run these plays. He sets them up. Well, you didn't set up that shot that you took to Ayuk on the first drive. You just called it, and it ruined your season. So it's like he loses who he is at critical moments of the season. Like, he saves his worst game plans for the biggest moments. And he could have 12 good ones in a row, but you don't know. It's like, man, who the hell was this? I guess you just had a bad week or something. Like, what happened, dude?
But then again, like that's when you got to look at like a coaching staff is almost kind of like a newspaper, right? Like you're not going to be able to put nothing to print without your editor seeing it, right? So the coordinator, the thing about it is that we have a flawed SOP when it comes to rolling out things offensively. Like Kyle is the single point of failure where all roads lead to him, from game plans, best scenarios, best formations. And then he gets
so if he's off, the whole team's off.
Thank you. There's no.
That's how it was with Bill Walsh back in the day too. If it's all coming down to one guy, it's all. What if he wasn't feeling it that week? What if he was distracted? What if someone was? It's all on him.
If he listens to his boys and during the game and they're like, "Yo, we don't like this." But if you think about it, really, what that process is, it's like, let's say you're a writer. How many times have you been galvanized about a story where you're a little too personal? You're bringing a little bit too much of your perspective into the article, and your editor has to come back and say, "Hey, Grant, nah, you got to clean this up."
Yeah, it's not an opinion piece. It's not an opinion piece. Yeah.
This is for the writers. This ain't for you. You need to bring more facts. And there's nobody on our staff that can look at a Kyle Shanahan script and say, "Hey, you know what? All of this is cute, but I don't see any of the high percentage plays that we did good on this year. Why don't we have any of that in here?" I understand that you saw this on film and this is going to look good versus what they do, but the play that we run, the 80th percentile on the left side of the field, I want that play in our script. I want to see how we look against them running that.
You know what upset me about that call for Tyler Croft, the Tyler Croft play? What upset me about that call? It was in the script. It was in the script.
Yeah. Like we're trying
you installed that on Tuesday. You repped it all week. No one came up to you and was like, "Yo, we should not do this. This is stupid. This is stupid as hell. What are we doing?" It was in the script. A shot play. And again, it was designed for Tyler Croft to block Hassan Reddick. They knew they were going to get that look. They knew Tyler Croft was inactive the week before. Like that was just
You know what that a play like that in the first 10 plays says that it's not that we don't respect y'all, but you guys don't have anything we're afraid of. Like we see flaws.
We can't wait to expose James Bradley. We can't wait. We actually can't wait
to show the world what we think of this defense, because y'all haven't seen us yet. That's what you call in the first 10 plays of a script when you do that. But really, the script should really be at the service of the offense so they can feel these boys out. We should have a myriad of plays that move the ball downfield and simultaneously give us information off the.
You know what it felt like? It felt like a boxer coming out at the opening bell, going out to the middle of the ring, dropping
throwing hooks,
and he's like, "Oh, let's go," and just like doing some stupid stuff, and then just gets knocked out. It's like, well, you showed him no respect. What did you expect, man?
No respect.
He was like, "Oh man, I would have won if I had my hands up." Like, yeah, man, maybe you should have your hands up next time. If you ever make it back to this fight.
Yeah, it's called what you call it? That's called a bolo punch. Like,
exactly. Like you were loading up on the bolo punch. You got knocked out by a left hook, and you're like, "Oh, what happened, man? I was just messing around." Cool. Don't mess around next time.
For now, man, it's just rich because we got a talented squad. We're gonna win games. We're gonna win games, right? Oh, yeah.
But 13 could happen.
But we talk about the dogs who they do it the right way. Ain't no cap in they rap. They got a quarterback. Right. So, that's who we got to really see.
Yeah. All right. Let's go through these super chats and get out of here in the next 10 minutes. Tyler says, drop back passing game, not play action. We need to develop how hard it is. How hard is it to accomplish? The offensive line and quarterback play needs to be better. Yeah. I mean, the Niners don't do. Not just the drop back passing game. It's the hurry up. They don't do any of that stuff.
We don't want no hurry up
offense. They don't do it.
No huddle.
And it's like the whole idea is like, why should we even practice that? We're always winning. We're so much better than the rest of the league. Like, be honest.
If you go a step further, a lot of the reason why we don't run the drop back passing game is because of the type of offensive alignment we have to run the outside zone.
It's a choice.
So we're so married to the outside zone and what we have to do in those blocking schemes that we really don't have the athletes to have like a traditional drop back passing game.
You can't, and that's been the Shanahan's issue forever. Niners update says off top.
We're tilted.
It's there's too much of a run emphasis on this team in 2023. I'm sorry. Niners update says off topic, but in the Eagles game, Kyle didn't challenge the catch by Smith on fourth down. He had done that. The game isn't the same. Anyway, love your show. Yeah, we mentioned he can't adjust mid-game. How about just like reacting mid-game?
Yeah.
Reacting.
But to 49ers updates, credit, that's something that, again, we see those little things on the field during game times where we don't call timeouts at the right time, or where we miss challenge opportunities. And it's hard to have Kyle do all of that while he's still holding that big ass laminated menu in his hand. Like, he's too busy being a coordinator to be a head coach at times. And
yeah, he's not. He's thinking of the next play he's going to call or whatever, and how he's going to sequence his drive, and he's not like in the game. Again, be a head coach, dude. A head coach calls that challenge there. Coordinator's thinking about his play.
I don't know this for sure, but if you're just looking at 1 + 1 = 2, simple math, if Kyle's the coordinator on game day, then you have to understand that there are people who have head coaching responsibilities on game day that help him, right?
Anthony Lynn.
Yeah.
The assistant head coach.
That other coaches
Anthony
usually
Lynn.
don't have anything to do with. So you got to understand that on game day, there are responsibilities of Kyle's that he's outsourcing to other people because he wants to be the coordinator.
Well, Anthony Lynn should have told Kyle someone should have told Kyle challenges. I'm not putting it off. I'm not taking
Smith catch. Yeah.
I mean, it's a failure for the entire coaching staff, especially if he's outsourcing those type of things. Do you think we lack preparation? I mean, sometimes they look like the most prepared team in the league. It's not that simple, right? I mean, they're a very well prepared team sometimes. When their scouting is good, when they actually, I think this is what I would do if I was facing Kyle. I would just run a defense I've never run front. I don't even care. Just do something different.
Just cause chaos.
Just cause chaos, man. If you're not as good as the 49ers, cause chaos because they're very specific in their preparation.
They can't coach it up that quick.
That's what you got to do.
Coach it up right away.
Yeah, just have 2 or 3 fronts that you haven't run before. Coach them all week. This is what we're going to do. They're not going to be prepared for it. See what happens. That's the best way you can face
because
them.
the coaches could probably coach up the technique, but then it would throw Kyle off for trying to call the plays.
Yeah, they can't react quick enough. Nathan says week 2, Brock Purdy. And that's why Pittsburgh could win week 1 because week 1, they have hella fronts. I mean, are the Niners going to be prepared for all that? Nathan says week 2, Brock Purdy goes down. Week 7, Trey Lance out. Sam Darnold takes the Super Bowl, goes down by halftime. Brandon Allen loses the Super Bowl. Why do I feel like that's really going to happen?
That is so perfect.
Hilarious. Why do I feel like that's exactly what's going to happen? Lobs all day says, love Kyle, but when have we run a sluggo? Slant and go. Point. Lobs, you spitting today, man.
You know what I think Kyle is going to do? I think by proxy, Kyle is going to raise the floor on the offensive acumen of this fan base. Yeah. I think that because we've seen his offense so much, people are going to raise their eye and say, well, goddamn it, when's the last time I seen Brandon Ayuk run a post corner?
Thank you. How about that, Lobs? How about that?
When's the last time I seen Deebo Samuel run more than 15 yards away from the line of scrimmage? Like, when's the last time we seen that? Right?
Yeah. Is that how come it took George Kittle how come it took 7 years into Kittle's career to make him a red zone threat? 7 years. And it wasn't even Kyle who figured it out. It was freaking Brock. It was Brock. Oh, I'll throw to Kittle. Oh, what a concept.
Yeah. The
tight end in the end zone? Who does it? Oh, Kyle didn't figure. I want to throw to Richie James. Nice, dude.
Yeah.
Ink Talk TV says you need an elite quarterback to beat elite defenses. Purdy and his vibranium arm ain't it. Well, vibranium. Sorry. Well, we'll see. Tommy Huxley, Croft is Gumby. How did this scrub make the team? He's not here anymore.
Yeah.
He's on Miami. He's going to go.
He beat out Ross, though.
He did. Hey, maybe. No, Ross would have missed that block, too. No doubt. Yeah, George would have missed that block. Thomas McGlinchey would have missed that block. Grunt people saying you have rider legs. I know. I really, that was bad. I'm working on it. I did legs yesterday. The calves. I got to work on the calves.
They're agile, though. You got something there. You know what I'm saying?
I could move in my day. I could move in my day. I didn't carry a lot of weight, but.
Yo, Greg, how tall
anyway,
are you?
6 feet, 6'1". I'm giving myself 6'1".
Got some legs.
6'1", 174. I lost 10 pounds in the last month. I'm so proud of myself. I haven't been this light since I was in college. I don't know what inspired me, but let's go.
Look at you, man.
Yeah.
Look at you. You look good, boy.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it. So do you. You've been losing the weight.
Thing, man. Yeah, I've lost 82 since in 3 months. 82.
Damn.
So
congrats.
We working, boy.
Yeah, and you have a better temp fade than me.
Yeah, I mean, listen, man.
Not to talk about the dude at the Montclair barbershop. Shout out Daniel. You did a good job. Thank you.
We're gonna get you straight straight though. Like, cause I like the fade on the sides.
Mm-hmm.
We gotta figure out a way how to just make that thing up top more natural.
I
Like,
know.
It's a little too axy.
It's like, a little too. Yeah, it is a little axy. It's like I'm like 19. I gotta work on that.
Like you just threw some axe in there. We can't give you no way.
Man, fuck you. Thanks for watching, everyone. I'm out. I'll see you guys later.